7 a.m. in the Mile High City on this Wednesday, November 12th, 2025. Good morning, Denver, Colorado. You've tuned in to the Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710 KNUS. I'm your co-host, Jeff Hunt, along with Bill Thorpe, bringing you the freshest insights, hottest takes from the right, left, and center. Coming up after news and comment with Blake Olson, we're going to talk with Congressman Jeff Crank. Could we see a vote to end the government shutdown? That'd be nice. That'd be nice. Text messages are super hot on the last hour's debate. 9353. Sorry, I didn't mean to start a fire. You were responding to my text messages. I was thinking of the term slave wages. Thanks. Bill, do we have a phone call? I thought we had one.
Yeah, we do. We've got Sam from Denver wants to chat with us.
Sam. Good morning, Sam. You're on with Jeff and Bill.
Hey, good morning, guys. Comment about the, it's kind of the perspective. The last caller said it's good for the people coming here. But I think when you look at the perspective of the employer, that's where the exploitation comes in. And I agree with you, Jeff, that whether you exploit them for cheaper labor or, how far do you go with that? It's immoral either way, whether it's slavery or you're paying them cheap labor. So, that we've seen with this SNAP program, there's plenty of able-bodied people out there. They can take these jobs. We've seen our bloated government, plenty of jobs. And the people that come here illegally, or even if they come here legally, they send 40% of their money back home. Mm-hmm. So if Americans are getting this job and you pay them a decent wage, we might see some increase in costs, but that money will be going back into the economy. Everybody will be making more money. They can afford those things. So for me, I'm with you. It's immoral. I don't think it's America first. And I think the employers are exploiting them for labor. They pile into apartments. They'll have one car, like a van, and drive each other around, eating cheap, sending money home. I agree with you, Jeff.
Sam, how is that different than how most college students live or how a lot of people live in their early 20s? Because most people in their early 20s live in a multiple people inside of one residence, not necessarily access individually to a car, especially when you get into the college age kids. How is it different, or is it just necessarily the same thing based on when you're starting out and you're at that wage cycle in that lower economic strata? That's kind of how it goes.
Well, maybe they make more money if we aren't paying, if illegals aren't driving labor down. So when they work their 20 hours a week or whatever they can work,
But Sam, the issue though is with H-1B visas and migrant work visas, which we're talking about, they're not illegal. Those aren't illegals when you're talking about it.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. Either way you look at it, the same argument applies.
No, it doesn't, because the visas, the visas would have to be paid right around or near market wage. Minimum wage, etc.
Why?
Because that's the rules. It's the rules and laws.
I don't think that's applying, but
Sam, it is. Someone that comes in here on a visa, you're not allowed to pay them lower than what the going local minimum wage is. From my understanding, I could be wrong, but that's my understanding.
That's a different argument. Visa, sure, fine, but like I think the other caller was saying, they aren't leaving. So I like your idea. I'm okay with it. I don't think we necessarily have to bring people in from just the South. Let's, diversity. Let's bring in some other people. But either way, they're still going to stay. So if you had a good plan where they could come in and be removed, but we've seen what liberals have done when you try and remove even the most heinous criminals, they're losing their mind.
Well, we used to have a program up until
and so there's no way these people.
But Sam, there used to be a program up until the mid '60s, and we changed it for a variety of reasons, and came back with something that, in my mind, is much less effective and much less of an incentive.
Will that work today, Bill? Will that work today? The way when you try and ask them to leave and they don't leave, and then we have to call ICE, and then we have rioting everywhere. we're in a different time. That's not going to work today. They're just not going to leave.
I disagree with you, because I think if they were given the opportunity to go back and forth and to leave and then come back in during the next season, you would probably see a lot more of them make that trek, because remember, these are people. Remember, Sam, hang on a sec. Remember, these are people that are leaving friends, family, and community. How many people do you know that over the course of their life eventually return back home to where they grew up? Or how many go on vacation and go back? What you're looking at is if you spend 7, 9, 10 months here in America, you get to go back home for several months. That is a strong incentive.
Isn't the Democrat desire to provide all these services with the hope that they become future voters?
Because the system's broken right now.
We're incentivizing them right now to leave. I think it's $1,000, right? Nobody's taking it. They don't want to go back there. It's misery.
Tell you what,
it's crime.
Hey, kick it up to $10,000, Sam, and see what happens. Just see what happens.
Sam, that's a great point.
That's what I'm saying.
See what happens.
What I'm saying. Why should we have to? If they come here on visas, we got to pay them $10,000 to leave. They're not going to leave. It's not a valid option that you're throwing out there. I like it. I wish
it worked before. Sam, it worked before.
It
worked before. I don't understand.
I
don't understand why it wouldn't work now.
You can see it. You can see like how crazy the libs are acting, trying to remove criminals. Imagine all the sob stories.
Sam, hang on a sec. Okay, wait, Sam, hang on. How are you defining criminal? And this is why it's important in this, is because, and I outlined on this show prior to the election, that when the Republican Party and Donald Trump were talking about migrant criminals, most voters were thinking people that are here that are committing crimes actively. When I submitted at the time, Donald Trump and the rest of the GOP were saying just crossing the border was illegal and that made you a criminal. So how are you defining criminals?
Guys, we've got to get to Jeff Crank here, too. He's coming up. And
okay, we'll leave that for another day, Sam.
Yeah,
I appreciate
we'll continue the debate. We've got Congressman Jeff Crank coming up. Sam, great call. Now is time, though, for news and comment with Blake Olson.
Blake Olson.
Blake Olson, news and comment.
Good morning. It is Wednesday, 37 and mostly clear in Denver. Gorgeous sunrise this morning. Expecting a high of 65 today. News sponsored by Pastor Camp Heating and Air Conditioning at 303-777-1234 to learn more about special savings opportunities on Lennox equipment. Our top story, there are still some challenges at DIA and airports across the country due to the shutdown. A vote is expected today on a bill that would end the Schumer shutdown. 2 weeks ago, a bunch of Democrats wanted to end it, but Chuck Schumer demanded that they hold out, and they did. House lawmakers, until a couple days ago. House lawmakers will return to D.C. today after a long recess for a vote on the bill, which would fund the government through January 30th. The Supreme Court is allowing the Trump administration to withhold SNAP food benefits. Last week, Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson issued an administrative stay that temporarily blocked a lower court order requiring the administration to make SNAP payments. Tuesday's ruling extends that stay through Thursday. DJT may have to clarify his position here. Laura Ingraham with a great interview on Fox News.
Republicans have to talk about it, Laura.
And does that mean the H-1B visa thing will not be a big priority for your administration? Because if you want to raise wages for American workers, you can't flood the country with tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of foreign workers.
You also do have to bring in talent.
When we have plenty of talented people here.
No, you don't.
We don't have talented people here?
No, you don't have super talents, and people have to learn. You can't take people off an unemployment line and say, I'm going to put you into a factory where we're going to make missiles, or I'm going to put
How did we ever do it before?
Well,
I'll
give you an example. In Georgia.
Okay, he's going to have to rethink that one and reword it a little better, because I do not agree with him on that one. And Tucker was correct. He said that Charlie Kirk wanted him to go all in on being critical of the Israeli government. Megyn Kelly actually found a video, and you can hear it on social media and on the video when you watch it. And I'm not going to play it right now, but because it will be difficult to hear. But Charlie telling Tucker to go Max, go max on telling the truth at a recent event. So Tucker did, and Megan talked about it last night, going max and telling the truth about the Israeli government.
It's quick. It just happens to be on tape, and it backs up what Tucker said. And so I just think we need to be realistic. Charlie understood what was happening to the conservative movement over Israel. He probably understood it better than any of us because he absolutely loved Israel. And yet he represented and was of young people. He was young. That was his constituency. That's where he spent all of his time. And he knew that even on the right side of the aisle, they had turned and were turning on Israel. And knowing all of that, he told Tucker to go out there and do all the things Tucker did. Go max, he said. Now, why did he do that? Because he knew there was a faction within the conservative movement that needed a voice. They needed somebody to put their thoughts and their complaints and their objections into words in a public setting and not just cede the whole argument to the other side, which has been dominating conservative thought and media forever.
She's right. We'll have more on this next hour. Bright colors illuminating the dark skies of Colorado may be seen for a few days this week. The aurora borealis, or northern lights, were witnessed by Coloradans across the state last night, and there's a chance they can be seen again tonight and possibly Thursday night. You can check out forecasts for the northern lights on the NOAA, NOAA Space Weather Prediction Center website, or you can call Billy on his cell phone, and he'll give you all the information.
Yes, I will.
That's awesome. The Ducks in town last night. NHL action in Lodo against the Avs.
McCarr flushed out by Leo Carlson. In the center zone, Nichushkin kicks it out to Nelson. Brock Nelson will circle, get away from that loose stick. A broken stick for Malinsky. Nichushkin goes stall, can't get to that one. It's Gabriel Landeskog.
Gabe Landeskog, his first regular season goal since March of 2022 after multiple knee surgeries. Good guys win it 4-1. Nuggets at the Kings last night, and Denver wins it 122-108. And Jokic with 35, 15, and 7. Murray had 23 points. 8 assists and 3 boards. The Nuggets at the Clippers tonight. Denver is 8-2, 35 in Parker, 36 in Westminster, 37 in Denver. You are waking up with Jeff and Bill, and I can't wait because it's Mr. Crank and Jeff and Bill coming up next. Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Unseasonably warm November weather will take us through Friday. Then we're going to see some changing weather this weekend, especially late in the weekend and into early next week. But until then, mild Pacific air will dominate. We're going to be 60s to near or better than 70 today, tomorrow, and Thursday. Still very mild, well into the 60s Friday. Through Friday, dry, a mix of high clouds and sun. Nights not bad, 30s to lower 40s. Increasingly cloudy and trending cooler over the weekend, increasing chances for showers. Meteorologist Don Day in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
Well, the Democrats have shut down the government for 42 days, 10 hours, 14 minutes, and 35, 36, 37 seconds, according to the White House government shutdown clock. Will we see an end to it? Joining us now, the esteemed congressman from the 5th Congressional District of Colorado, that's Colorado Springs area, Congressman Jeff Crank. Good morning, Congressman. Thank you for taking time to join the Jeff and Bill Show.
Morning.
Yeah, good morning. How are you guys? Good morning. How are you?
We might have a little bit of an echo there, Bill. We got that?
Working on it behind the scenes.
I think they got it fixed.
All right. Yeah, tell us. Are we going to see a shutdown of the government today, or an end to the shutdown?
Well, I think we are going to see an end to the shutdown. It just depends on how long folks will draw it out. But it looks like about 5 o'clock this afternoon we'll have a vote on the rules. 5 o'clock Eastern. We'll have a vote on the rule in the House, and then probably in the 7 o'clock hour Eastern time, we should have final passage of this. Now, hopefully it doesn't we don't have folks trying to continue and prolong this down on the House floor. But looks like tonight this whole thing will end.
And boy, oh boy, I have never seen Colorado Democrats so angry.
Yeah, crazy.
Tell me about that.
I saw Senator Hickenlooper. Yeah, I even saw Senator Hickenlooper, saying that he was pissed off or whatever. I mean, that's just crazy talk. It's crazy. I use this analogy, Jeff, this morning. It seems to me like you've got a bunch of Democrats who are acting. The Democrats are right now acting like a bunch of kids who were pyromaniacs who set the house on fire, burned the house down, spent 6 weeks denying that it was them. 6 weeks, it wasn't me, I didn't do it. And then finally their big brother, the Senate Democrats, the 8 Senate Democrats step in and go, you know what, we ought to probably tell mom and dad, let's just come clean and act like it wasn't us, let's just tell them what we did. And now they're like, oh yeah, well, we burned the house down and we wish it was still burning. I mean, that's essentially what is happening here with the shutdown. It's just crazy. They're acting like children and don't seem to care. I walked into the Capitol this morning. I saw a couple of the Capitol police officers, and I said, hey, we're going to get you paid this week. It's going to happen. And, they just smiled and they were excited. But look, I mean, how can you say you care about people and you're doing this for them, but at the same time, you're okay with people like this, who are Capitol police officers, our ICE agents, these air traffic controllers and TSA agents who have been working all this time without a paycheck. Come on, this is silly. So let's end it.
That's Congressman Jeff Crank. He represents Colorado Springs in Washington, D.C. Congressman, do you think the Democrats caved?
Of course they caved. Yes, of course they caved. They did cave. But here's the problem. They went into this without knowing what the end game was going to look like. I mean, essentially, I think that's where they made the mistake. They, you had Chuck Schumer, who had Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and that wing of the party nipping on his heels. They were upset that he didn't fight last time we had a continuing resolution. And so he felt like he had to do it this time. So he did, but they didn't really know what the end game looked like. And I will give kudos to Speaker Johnson for every single day continuing to message that we did our jobs, the House did our jobs, we passed a clean CR. And here's the reality, I've said this the entire time, we couldn't give in as House Republicans on this because if somebody takes a hostage and you give in and you give them concessions in that, it only leads to more hostage taking. And if we would have said, hey, you know what, you're right, we'll give you something. It's a clean CR. We're going to give you something on a clean CR. Every single time a clean CR came up, a clean continuing resolution, they'd want something else. And it would have led to more government shutdowns and more disasters for the American people.
That's interesting. Congressman Jeff Crank, representing Congressional District 5. Congressman, let's talk Obamacare subsidies. That'll be the next big vote on that. How are you going to vote with regards to providing additional Obamacare subsidies?
Yeah, well, I'm not going to support the current subsidies as they are. This is, and people should understand, I'm sure your audience is sophisticated enough they understand this, but a lot of people don't. There's two different subsidies. There's the standard subsidy that continues on. That hasn't changed. That's unchanged. But this enhanced premium subsidy is for people who are above the poverty level. And in fact, for a family of four, it's $128,000 a year. So we're talking about health care with the enhanced premium tax credit expiring, we're talking about health care for a family of four that makes $128,000 or more, that this tax premium credit is expiring for them. So, we've got to work on health care. There's no doubt we've got to work on health care, but I would argue this, and I don't even think you even have to argue it. The reality is, we're living under the broken system that they want to continue to prop up. The reason healthcare costs are rising isn't because of an enhanced premium tax credit is expiring. It's because the system, the Obamacare exchange itself, is a broken system. We were told that it was going to make it better and that we were all going to get to pay less for health care. That didn't happen. It's a broken system that needs to be fixed, and Republicans ought to, and we need to make sure that we address this, but we need to do it in a way that doesn't just keep propping up a broken system.
That's Congressman Jeff Crank. Congressman, what's your take on last Tuesday's election results in Colorado?
Well, Colorado is a mixed bag. In my district, we had some school board races that turned out pretty well. We had what I would consider the conservative candidates that won in most of those school board races. But there, in other places, that wasn't the case. Certainly Douglas County and several others, that wasn't the case. Look, I don't know what you make about an off-year election. Here's what I'd say. I think, one, people on the left right now are pretty energized. It's this anti-Trump feeling. There's no doubt about that. So Republicans or conservatives must show up. If they don't, then any gains that have been made will be wiped away. But at the same time, so there's all of that going on, but we can't read too much into it. But at the same time, we can't ignore it. I think, I ran for Congress. The president ran for president on the idea of making people's lives better. And so we've really got to focus on that, laser focus on that, as difficult sometimes as it is, given what, it's hard when you got Democrats, frankly, fighting and taking billions of dollars out of the economy by closing the federal government down. But we've really got to focus on making health care more affordable, groceries more affordable. I think, if we look at what's happened with the price of gas and energy, it has gone down and it's going to continue to fall. But we got to make sure that people's lives are better and they're feeling that. And if they do, I have no worries.
As Congressman Jeff Crank, he represents Colorado Springs in Washington, D.C. Congressman, I saw a headline come from the Gazette, and this one got to me. As you can see, I'm wearing NFR. Got my cowboy hat. I'm speaking in rifle today, but Pro Rodeo Hall of Fame, PRCA in Colorado Springs, considers move amid string of losses for the city. And I saw from Common Sense Institute that Colorado Springs is, while all other major cities, crime's going down, crime's gone up. From my opinion, it seems like Yemi's a disaster for Colorado Springs. What's your thoughts on him? Does he need to go?
Well, obviously the mayoral election in Colorado Springs is still a year and a half away. It won't be till the 27. 27. So we'll see what happens. I think there's a lot of challenges there for sure. I was very disappointed to see that article that the Pro Rodeo Hall of Fame is being wooed to Cheyenne. Cheyenne's a great city. I love our friends in Wyoming, but we'll do everything we can to keep the Pro Rodeo Hall of Fame in Colorado Springs, where it belongs. We'll see. Colorado Springs faces a lot of challenges. We've had a lot of growth over the years. We have some housing issues where growth has this rapid growth in Colorado Springs, particularly. People find it unaffordable to live in Denver or in places around Denver, so they've just decided that they're going to live in Colorado Springs and commute to Denver. And so we have housing crunch, affordability issues, things like that. There's a lot to deal with. We'll see. I think the mayor certainly faces some real challenges.
Yeah, I think it's the first time we haven't had a Republican mayor in a long time, if ever, and it's showing.
Yeah.
Believe me, it is showing.
But look, and Colorado Springs and El Paso County is still conservative territory. Make no mistake about it. We see that time and time again. We saw it in the school board races, right? Even though I think we were swimming uphill a bit on turnout, we still ended up winning most of those races. And we've got some challenges, but we're still good conservative territory.
Yeah. Congressman Jeff Crank. Bill, do you have any questions for the Congressman?
I got a couple of questions. One, Congressman Crank, when we were talking about the Affordable Care Act and the idea of it being unaffordable, what do you think about Trump's idea that he floated recently that he wants to give people money they can spend on their health insurance? Does that have any merit in your mind?
Well, I think there's some merit to it, yes. I think we'd have to figure out how they would buy insurance if that were what was happening. I think his idea was instead of giving it directly to the insurance companies, which is what we're doing right now by subsidizing the Affordable Care Act through these enhanced premium tax credits, that money just goes to the insurance company. It doesn't come to the actual consumer. So the president's idea of using that money to give directly to people to buy their health insurance is a good one, but we still have to figure out a marketplace for them to do so. And, I think we're going to spend a lot of time working on that. I talked to one of my colleagues the other day, Bill, who was talking about how people sign up for health insurance, and on average, 15% of people who sign up for health insurance never make a claim in a year on a typical plan. But on the Obamacare exchange plans, it's more around 35% of people who are getting that subsidy are not making claims. So it seems like there's about 20% that might be, abuse. Maybe it's somebody who signs up in one state, moves somewhere else, and these insurance companies are getting paid for that same person twice. So there's some issues with the way that is drafted. We got to figure out what those are. I think there's something there, but that's not a total solution to just say we just send them the money. We still have to work on it and figure out how we make it affordable.
Yeah, and I appreciate the answer there, because the reason that I find it humorous is probably the best way, is because just like you talked about, that then the government would have to create some sort of a marketplace. And Donald Trump had talked about the idea that that money would only be able to be used at healthcare. You couldn't go out and buy a new car or buy a new Xbox or anything like that. So you'd have to convert that money into some sort of credits. So then you'd have a government marketplace where people are using, and that we're back to the ACA. That's the thing that I find so humorous, is at the core, Trump's suggestion is just basically a marketing change. He just wants to change it from Obamacare to Trump Care. There's nothing functionally that changes. So I'm a little worried about that one. Also, I want to know, we're hopefully opening up the government. Donald Trump recently floated the idea of bonuses for air traffic controllers that didn't take any days off. Are you for it or against it? Do we give them bonuses if they didn't take any days off?
Well, I do think I think we ought to reward the men and women who continue to work through this. And I am for figuring out for the FAA, and again, this is not something for Congress to do, but it's the leadership over at the FAA, to figure out those people who diligently did continue to keep the country running, and make sure that we do reward those. This would be what any good CEO of a company would do, is reward the people who got you through the tough times. And then the people who took advantage of it and said, oh, okay, I'm not getting paid, I guess I'll just go take vacation and maybe caused a problem. Those are the people you don't want around. But I will say this, we have a very difficult time and have had for many years of having enough air traffic controllers. It's a real problem. I know that the Trump administration has put some emphasis on trying to make sure that we incentivize keeping good people here at the FAA as air traffic controllers. So, I'm open to the idea. I don't think it's something that Congress ought to decide that we're going to give a $10,000 bonus or something. But I do think that we ought to look at ways to keep those good people who did serve us well through this shutdown and make sure that we're rewarding them for good behavior.
Fair enough answer, Congressman Crank. Now, I want to follow up on that. Two things. One, why only air traffic controllers? There were other people that showed up and did their job during this shutdown that didn't get paid as well. Why are we only going to reward the air traffic controllers? And then two, does this sort of a bonus system actually end up punishing those federal workers that could not afford to work for free? And I'm saying maybe there's an air traffic controller out there that still has a huge either medical debt or student loan, something else, and they can't afford to not draw a paycheck because they're going to be late on their rent. Right now, we have the highest percentage in several decades of Americans being 90 days late on their credit card payments. If we have someone that's an air traffic controller in that situation, they can't afford to work for weeks, over a month for free. They got bills to pay, and they may lose where they live. Is this bonus system just going to punish those that are on the lower end of the economic spectrum that couldn't afford to give up their work for free?
Yeah. Well, I'll facetiously say this, Bill, and then I'll answer your question for real. Maybe we should take the salaries of the members of Congress that all voted for the shutdown.
I vote yes.
And then take
I don't even care to finish it. I'm just voting yes.
That's my facetious answer.
I love that.
It's very frustrating. It's very frustrating for me, Bill, because I gave my salary. I didn't take my salary during the shutdown.
Nicely done.
And I had some other members of the Colorado delegation who said, "Oh, well, I can't afford to do that," but yet they voted to shut the government down. So you had all kinds of people. There's lots of people who couldn't afford to go through the shutdown without a paycheck, but they chose to disregard them as long as they got theirs. It didn't matter. But look, I see what you're saying. I totally understand what you're saying, but I do think this could all have been avoided if we wouldn't have shut the government down. And I think we ought to take that away, first of all, as a tool. I am for, there's been several pieces of legislation, I think the Republicans ought to do this, that we aren't in this position in January again by working with the Democrats in the Senate who voted to get us out of this mess, to keep us from getting in it again. That's the best way to avoid something like that. But I understand what you're saying. I do just think that to those who show up and who work, and, there's those TSA agents who worked hard. I know it's been difficult for them. I've talked to them as I go through the line at DIA or other airports. I know it's been a difficult thing for them. We should reward as many as we can. Obviously, we can't reward everybody with it. Air traffic controllers, I think it's a special case because we just have so few of them. We need more of them, and we really have to work on retaining them. It's a very special skill set that they have that neither you or I, Bill, would be qualified to do.
Yeah, I'm definitely not qualified for that one. I appreciate that, Congressman Craig. Now, I know you've been more than generous with your time. I got one more possible suggestion. Not a question, but I'm just saying. If you guys are in the back rooms in the GOP caucuses and you're talking about fixing the healthcare system, especially Obamacare. Now, I'm going to give you what I think is the best piece of advice to fix it as quickly as possible, but with the understanding that nobody else in your caucus is going to go along with this. So take this bit of information and be very careful who you share it with, because you may become ostracized. Because I am convinced that the quickest way to fix the ACA, or whatever we want to come after it, is to mandate every member of Congress, every member of the White House and their staffs have to get insurance through that program. You do it that way, pretty sure it's going to be fixed. But again, you say that in a meeting behind closed doors, you're not getting invited out for lunch or drinks or anything anymore. Just going to warn you.
Well, it's funny. It's funny, Bill, that you say that, because I am on the Obamacare exchange. Members of Congress, and here's what's worse, right? We are on the Obamacare exchange because that's what, when it got passed, members of Congress, and I wasn't in Congress at the time, they said, hey, if we're going to put this on the American people, we need to be under it. So we're not under the Federal Employee Health Benefits Plan. All of our staff is, but we're actually on Obamacare. My premium this last year was $1,200 a month for health insurance for me and my wife. It's terrible. We are part of that. And here's the other part. We do not get the enhanced premium tax credit. So all of the folks who get that, members of Congress were exempted from getting that enhanced premium tax credit. So our premium is actually, believe it or not, it's not as good as what people think. In fact, we have as bad a health care as anyone else would, being on that health care exchange. And we got to fix it. And not just because members of Congress are on it, but because the American people are on it. We need to do better.
Excellent. Thank you very much for that. That's wonderful.
That was
news.
Brilliant. Jeff Craig, Congressman, Congressional District 5, Colorado Springs. Thank you so much for your time today.
Yes, thank you,
and
sir.
I'm so sorry the Democrats are so sad that government employees are getting their paychecks again.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thank you, guys. I appreciate it. It's a good day. Look, it's a good day for America. It's a good day for all of those people that have been working hard for us. And again,
that's right.
I mean, you really do feel for folks. Again, these Capitol police officers, were high-fiving them this morning. It's been tough on a lot of people, and it was unnecessary. It should never have happened, and we ought to do everything that we can to not have it happen again.
Congressman, thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
We'd
Have a
love
great day.
to hear from you. Give us a call, 303-696-1971, or text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line at 720-819-5115, 720-819-5115. We'll continue. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710, KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Wrapping up a great conversation with Congressman Jeff Crank, Colorado Springs, as it looks like the government's going to reopen today by 7 p.m. At least we'll have the vote in Congress by 7 p.m. Eastern time today, Wednesday, November 12th. and then it's got to go to the president's desk to be signed. So we could see everything kind of gearing back up.
And on a side note, one thing, Jeff Crank is one of my favorite interviews that we get on the show. I love our time with him because he can dance in a different way. I know there's certain conversations we can have in the way that it goes. I so appreciate him and his openness with us. Also, I just want to point out to all fans of Democrats out there that realize that so far what I've seen in this shutdown agreement, in order for it to end, that there is a promise in the Senate to maybe hold a debate and a vote sometime in the future. They didn't even get a secured date for it to happen. And the best part about this, and this is going to tell you exactly how badly the Democrats got hosed on this one. And again, they did it to themselves. There's no promise of anything having to happen following that in the House. So even if they have any sort of a debate and a vote and something comes out of the Senate, Mike Johnson doesn't have to touch it in the House. And so the idea that they got anything out of this is just...
the Obamacare subsidies are going to have to be a vote. I think there's going to be so many bills brought or so much pressure. I was talking to Channel 7 about this yesterday, and, they were asking, well, how do you think Republicans are going to vote on Obamacare? Extra subsidies, and Crank's exactly right. The add-on up to 400% of the poverty line took place under the Biden administration, 2001, following COVID, and I don't think you're going to get Republicans that support it, but I do think that the pressure is going to be big enough to bring this vote. But I was also really intrigued by the Democrat response in Colorado, which proves to me how blue we are, how socialist we have become. Because the only fear that a Democrat elected politician in Colorado has right now is from a primary on the left. They don't need to worry about moderates. They don't need to worry about Republicans. They only need to worry about socialists that come out and primary them for not being angry enough that we didn't get the enhanced Obamacare subsidies. So...
Yeah, I agree with you.
What do you think about their response, Bill?
I'm a little... I don't like the response necessarily of the Democrats. I think they are missing some opportunities to make the point in a better manner. And here's the example, okay? I understand the idea of healthcare subsidies for individuals that are making 400% over the poverty level. But the better conversation for the Democrats is why are those families and those individuals looking for health care on the Obamacare exchange? What's the reason? I mean, you don't have those people making 400% above the poverty line. Those are people that aren't working, I would submit, 32 hours a week. Those aren't people that have probably 3 part-time jobs. Those are people that have some sort of gainful employment. And my suspicion possibly is people that are self-employed, business owners, things like that. Maybe where you're going to see some of those. Yeah, retirees.
Wall Street Journal got into this. They're retirees at like 50.
And that's the thing. And the other part is right now in Denver, in the Denver metro, you need to have an average family household income of somewhere around $120,000 to $130,000 a year to afford a house. And so when we're talking about that being the moderate level of what you need to make in order to afford a house, then it's not necessarily that outside of the norm to think that someone in that situation might need some help getting a subsidy for their health care because of where we have, cost of living here. Now, is that the same in Arkansas, Mississippi, Louisiana, Maine, Massachusetts? I don't know, and I don't think so. I think it's possibly less there. But I think that's part of the argument is that's where I think that the Democrats should have gone on this one, is the idea of who's going to be on the subsidies, why they're there, and who this actually helps out. Because a lot of us understand that you're tied to your health care based on your employer. And the number of people in the Jeff and Bill audience have had that fear of when they've had a job separation for whatever reason about first, oh my God,
Cobra, and it gets crazy.
Oh yeah. How do you do it? And that fear is real and palpable.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Stop relying on untransparent systems and government intervention. All right, let's get to Chris. I think we have him on the line. We do. He's been very patient. Good morning, Chris. You're on with Jeff and Bill.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning, guys. I just wanted to put something out there. in regards to the premium tax credits that maybe people aren't thinking about, and it's one of the biggest problems. And it's insurers know that the government, who's subsidizing the premiums, so they can raise prices without losing customers. And this effectively, in my mind, is a scam. It's milking the taxpayers and the federal government. And I think that's the dark side of capitalism, right? I mean, I'm all for the free market and things of that nature, but not when it comes to things like this. I mean, we have to get people covered, and it's obviously very nuanced, but I don't think it's that nuanced when, private entities are scamming the government and the taxpayer like this. Secondly, I wanted to touch on what Jeff was speaking on earlier, and the gentleman who called in from Denver about the illegals. Look, I've worked construction out here since I arrived in 2019. I'm going to tell you right now, companies like, well, maybe I won't state their names, but very well-known companies, construction companies in Colorado, it says a lot when they got an interpreter on site, on the job site, right? And there's like 300 people, and they got to do the safety briefing in Spanish too. I'm, third generation Mexican. My grandfather came here illegally. I'm all for it, as long as they're here to do good. I don't think they're indentured servants because, they have this opportunity that we have, taxes, right? They get an I-10. You go down federal, you can buy a car with an I-10. What is an I-10? It's a identification number for those who can't get a Social Security number. So it's almost like designed obsolescence. Like this whole thing is designed not to progress, but I hate to say it, but the people with money love illegals because the people with money don't have to pay them fairly, and they don't have to offer benefits and things of that nature. But it's a double-edged sword, right? I mean, where would we be without them, right? I don't know. It'd be less taco stands. I don't know. But I just think it's funny that people, well, send them back. They're driving the labor market down. Yeah, Texas knows all about that. You make about $15 an hour down there doing the same job you do up here. But I think it's by design. And just real quick about the government shutdown, the gentleman from Louisiana, Mr. John Kennedy, I think his name is, along with Rand Paul, suggested that maybe Congress shouldn't get paid anytime that they vote to shut the government down.
I agree with that
and they
entirely.
They didn't take salaries. But I don't think they'll ever fall for that because then they'd be, they won't be eating in Georgetown, right? An overpriced sandwich at Dog Tag Bakery or what have you. So,
Chris, you got a lot of wisdom.
Yeah, Chris,
you got a lot of wisdom.
Yeah, I second that. What Jeff is saying. And remember, Chris, that that the number of times they actually show up to Congress to do necessarily the jobs is minimal as it sits. So the idea that they're there, pulling the 40 hours a week, no. And I understand they go off and do constituent meetings and meet with lobbyists, but I don't want to pay them to go and meet with lobbyists. I think that's part of your job.
How about we get back to the days of the Jack Abramoff fly around, go to visit Caribbean islands. Those were always fun.
Oh, those were great. Yeah,
we'll
that
continue.
Was fantastic. Things were much better then. Yeah, sure.
Right. Let's go. We'll get to Barney next. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader News Talk 710 KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Let's hit the phone lines. Barney, Denver, you're on with Jeff and Bill.
Yeah, morning, Barney.
Hey, Jeff. Hey, Bill. So let me ask you something. This is anecdotal. This is just me. How come when I get an MRI, it's $900 out of pocket, but if I'm insurance, it's $3,400? Do you see a problem with that? I kind of do.
Yep, that's because it's artificially inflated and it's non-transparent.
Exactly. And so if you'll recall, and this is not about Obama, but if you'll recall, when they were trying to get the Affordable Care Act done, it was like real close. It wasn't going to happen. And then he brings in all the pharmaceutical CEOs and all the health insurance CEOs of the big companies. And they work out a deal. That was and if you'll recall, too, premiums were starting to go up like they were getting up there. And I'll be honest, I haven't had health insurance most of my life. I wouldn't get to pay $300, $500, $1,000 a month for something I didn't feel like I need. I kind of need it now, so now all I've got to do is hope that I make it to Medicare. If I make it to Medicare, I'm going to be golden. And I've been a pretty healthy person, but I don't hold it against somebody. Like, say a lot of people say, well, that guy doesn't deserve to whatever. Once you get the government involved, and it's like an open spigot, it's going to be a problem. And they knew that when they did Obamacare, when they set the Affordable Care, they knew it was going to fail. They just figured, well, we'll go this, then it'll get really bad, and then everybody will love single payer. And if you look at the health care the way it's set up now, doctors love it. They love it because they're going to get their big fat check. The insurance companies love it. And the average Joe loves it because he's paying his premium, but it never hits him in the face that it's like, wait a minute, like Jeff Crank said, $1,200 a month. I'm going to guess, Jeff and your wife, you guys probably don't need that insurance. So what's that, $14,000 a year for something that you really don't need? And yes, there's that catastrophic time, maybe when you do need it, but I don't know. It's been a racket since day one, and if you walk into the doctor's office and you're not paying out of pocket, you don't give a damn how much it costs, and that's a lot of the problem. You don't care, and when it comes to kids, no problem. You throw everything at it. You save that kid. You save that 40-year-old dad that's got 3 kids. I've got no problem with that, but I do have a problem with Mickey Mantle getting a liver transplant when he drinks his rear end off his entire life. And that, I don't know. There's a lot of unfairness in this thing, but bottom line is, it's come, like the Reverend, what's his name, that said the chicken have come home to roost. They're coming home to roost, and we're going to have to figure it out. Maybe people will just have to start paying more out of pocket, and maybe you won't run to the doctor for every snotty nose you get. And by the way, Aaron, your caller Aaron, I love that guy. He's been on the radio as long as I have. Caller as long as I have. And I love Aaron.
Barney, we got to go. Great call.
Barney,
Thank you so much, Barney.
Sorry.
We'll be back. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
This is KNUS.